Hey, what's going on everyone? This is EDC for Fun. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we're going to do some quick knife maintenance. This is my Divo Mash V2.5. This guy is rocking a beautiful belt satin hollow ground 154 cm blade and flamed titanium scales. This guy's been getting a lot of mileage, and so I have decided it's probably a good time to go ahead and clean this guy up. I'm not sure if it'll come out on camera, but I am getting, yeah, there you go, a little bit of surfaced rust. I have been taking this thing out hiking, and if you're gonna take a pocket knife that is not fully stainless, corrosion resistant, like my Spidey Chef and LC200N, or if you have stuff in Magna Cut or even 20CV, stuff like that, you do have to mind when you are camping, hiking, fishing, that kind of stuff. A little bit of rusting here and there. As long as you catch it early, then you can deal with it. So we're going to get the rust cleaned off this blade. We'll get everything cleaned out and put back together. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the pocket clip. And this guy is rocking all T8 hardware, which is awesome. So it should just be one tool takedown. We'll go ahead and remove the body screw on the same side of the pocket clip, and we will take the pivot screw out. Okay, and if you notice that little guy that just rolled away, this guy has a pivot collar, which is pretty cool. And we'll make sure when we put that back together that it's nice and flush. If not, you can get some off-center blade action. Go ahead and open the blade a little bit. Try and pop this guy off. There we go. We'll take a look inside. While we've got it open, just kind of look around, just inspect, make sure nothing looks out of whack. All right, now that we've got our blade separated, just take a look at it, and I do have some rusting across the top here, a little bit down here, a little bit here. Sorry, I wasn't focused, but I think it's all just surfaced rust, and I should be able to just clean that off with a cleaning cloth and some alcohol, and then I'll put some frog lube on it, and that'll give it a nice little protective layer. So douse it with some isopropyl alcohol on a cleaning cloth here, and just start to wipe away the gunk. And I'll come back and get the rust spots. Just want to get all the crap off there first. Okay, so now I've got the junk off of there. I'm going to move this stuff to the side and just try and scrub some of that surface rust away using just alcohol. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so we've got our blade cleaned off. Got pretty much all that surfaced rust off. Kind of hard to see on camera. There is a little bit of a dark spot up here. And here, again, very difficult to see, very, very minor. You could, if you wanted to, get some like Barkeeper's Friend or even some vinegar and try and get some of that stuff out, but it's so slight and it's so minor. I just wanted to get the surface stuff off and treat this thing so it doesn't get any worse. But you could go further if you wanted to. While I have the blade here, I'm just looking at the edge, and I don't see any chips. Don't really feel any microchipping. There's a little bit. I don't think it needs to be sharpened just yet. I'm going to try and strop it. It is still pretty sharp, but we'll go ahead and put some frog lube on this guy, and then we'll clean the handle and get it back together. And this stuff is great. It's basically coconut oil with some coloring and some scent, but it's food safe. It does the job. I've used it for years. I really like it. So just apply a little bit on my finger. And just work it around. Flip her over. And I'll wipe the excess off. Now I'll go ahead and just wipe out the inside of my handle. Back spacer. And I'll get the bearings wiped down. And then we do have some steel washers that run inside the titanium handles. And so these are what the bearings will actually run on. And get our pivot cleaned off. And our stop pin. Okay. Go ahead and add some KPL to the steel washer. I'm going to add a little bit on the titanium here just to get some suction so that the washer stays in place. Now I'll get a little bit on the bearings, just a little drop, and just work that in. And that should be all we need. So we can go ahead and get this guy put back together. So I will start by putting the pivot, which does have a notch here. So it only goes in one way. And you can see that corresponds with that notch right in there. If it's not lined up there, then it won't seat all the way. And you'll know if you have it on because it won't be able to spin. So I have that in there. I'll drop the stop pin right in there. And we'll drop one of these bearings, and you can see there's an open side and a closed side. I'm going to have the open side facing the steel washer, so that way the closed side faces the blade. I'll put the back spacer back on here. Pop the blade on. Pop this bearing on. And we'll go ahead and, oops. So you do have to mind this pin here. That's going to line up there. So I'm going to actually do that first, not the pivot first. There we go. Make sure that's still seated. Everything's closed up nicely. So I'll pop this pivot collar on there. And you do want to make sure that gets seated all the way down. And we'll go ahead and tighten the pivot screw. And I'm just going to snug it and make sure our blade is centered. Now I will grab this body screw. And before I put the last screw and the clip back on, I'm just going to double check everything. Make sure nothing looks off center. Make sure I've got good lockup. No blade play. Everything's opening and closing without any snags or binding. Very good. So now I will put this guy on there. Okay, make sure everything got pulled together and is sitting flush before we go ahead and tighten everything up. Okay, everything looks good, centered, flushed. Check the action. Very smooth. So yeah, that's it. Got it cleaned up, put back together, and you have to really appreciate, or at least I do, the simplicity, but yet solid design and construction of a knife like this. Goes back together very easily as long as you're paying attention to what you're doing. This guy will last for years and years and years, and you can apply this to, you know, pretty much any folding pocket knife. But yeah, the better the design, the materials, construction, all that stuff helps, and a little bit of elbow grease and paying attention to the status of your tool over time will give you some long life. So that is my little quick down and dirty in a hurry knife maintenance video. Hope you guys appreciate that. Leave me a like and a comment, subscribe if you're not already. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. God bless you. See you.